So in this class, we know that we're going to have a lot of quizzes to turn in as well as exams, but how exactly do I find these files and where are they located? And how do I submit them? Well, we can see first off that quizzes are going to be located underneath the quizzes menu in Blackboard. Now, I can go ahead and click on that quizzes file or link, and I can see that all the quizzes are going to be laid out here, all 16 of them. And underneath each of these quizzes folders, there's going to be a visible link at the moment, which is the submission link. This is where we're actually going to submit our quizzes. You need to submit your quizzes via Blackboard. If Blackboard's being a bit finicky on a particular day, always feel free to email me though as well. When I go ahead and I click on a particular link, I can see that I can upload files. And so it's a good idea to try to upload to this something like PDFs or images. And you can use different apps like maybe Cam Scanner is one that I've heard of that works pretty well to create a PDF. I also think that iPhones, typically you can use like their Notes app to kind of take pictures of things and save them as PDFs. So there are ways that you can try to get these pictures and then upload them here. Okay. Now, all submissions for quizzes are due by midnight on a specific day, and so you'll just want to make sure that you're aware of that. This ability to submit will disappear after that deadline. The other thing to note is that if you ever click Save as a Draft, that does not submit the actual file. I will not be able to see it, it will not be submitted, and you will end up then receiving a 0 for the quiz. You have to go ahead and click the Submit button. Now you can submit as many times as you want. So if you submitted, say, at noon on a particular day, then 20 minutes later you found a typo in your work, you can feel free to resubmit again. That's totally fine. I'll always grade your most recent submission. Now, if I go back one screen here, you'll notice that, well, where is the quiz? Well, the quizzes will actually be released on the day that they are assigned. So you can see here, I actually have the quiz and its solutions already written up, and I have them hidden from you. The quiz will actually come out on the day it's assigned at 12 a.m., and you'll have the entire day to get that actually in. I'll then post the solutions after I've gone through and graded all the quizzes. Okay, so that's where you'll actually be able to find them. For the moment, they're just hidden from view. Now, how exactly do exams work? Well, exams are going to be kind of the exact same way. They'll be found under each one of the different unit materials folders, except for the final exam, which has its own link. If I go to the unit materials, you'll see that down at the bottom, I have the Exam 1 folder. Now, Exam 1s have to be completed at specific times throughout the day, unless those times don't work for you, and then we can arrange something else. But if I go here and I click underneath the Exam 1 folder, you'll see that one of the first things I have to do is select a time at which I want to take the exam. I need to take exams at either 10:30 a.m. or at 7:30 p.m. Again, if those times don't work for you, let me know. Now, you'll get 90 minutes to go ahead and complete the exam. That's 70 minutes to actually take the exam and answer questions, and 20 minutes to actually go ahead and submit the exam. So if you take your exam at 10:30, it'll be due by noon. If you take your exam at 7:30 in the evening, it'll be due by 9. Now, if you do get extended time from the Access and Disability Office, you have some accommodation, then you can actually get extended time potentially. And if you have that, we can just talk about it, and your exam will just be due at a different time, and that's totally fine. Now, again, submitting exams is the same way. You'll click on the submission link, and you can go ahead and upload your files here. You just have to make sure that you click the submit button. But the important thing to note is that you have to select a time. If you don't select a time, you won't ever gain access to the exam, and you won't be able to turn it in. You can change what time you want to take the exam all the way up until the day before the exam, but you must select the time on the day before. You must select the time that you're going to take the exam before the actual day of the exam. Okay. Once that is done, then one of these versions of the exam will pop up, so that way you can go ahead and actually take it at your appropriate time. So it'll pop up on the appropriate day at the appropriate time for you to take. Okay. Once exams are done, I will grade those up and also have solutions posted. So how exactly, or maybe what should we expect from exams, and how are they going to work? Let's take a look here quickly at the syllabus. So for exams and quizzes, both of these are actually going to be unproctored, but they have some different rules surrounding them. So let's take a look. First off, with quizzes, there's going to be 14 of them that we'll take for a grade. Overall, though, there will be 16 quizzes during the semester. It's just that your lowest 2 just don't even get counted. Blackboard won't even put them into your total score. Now, quizzes are typically going to be around 4 questions. Depending on the difficulty of the questions, though, there may be some more or less. And they'll typically take around 20 to 35 minutes to complete, assuming that you know what you're doing. If you haven't practiced at all, this might take a lot more time. So it's always important to try to practice and make sure that you're well versed in the concepts before you start working on a quiz or an exam. Now, we've already talked about kind of how you submit those, but what we haven't talked about is some of the guidelines surrounding quizzes and exams. So for quizzes, you're allowed to use scratch paper, your calculator, notes, the formula sheets that we'll have for exams. You can use all that stuff. You can even use some outside resources, watch a YouTube video, ask a friend. All those things are okay. However, you have to be able to fully and completely explain your work, and you should be completing problems in the way that we complete them in class. So that means it's important to actually watch the lecture videos. If your work on quizzes or on exams appears to be copied from a different source, if it appears to be a bit strange, something that I might not think that you're really able to defend, or maybe even something that's just generally confusing to me, I might ask you to come and meet with me one-on-one virtually to help explain your solution. And if you are unable to explain your solution, you will receive a 0 for that quiz or for that exam. And that also goes for all students that may have been involved in the copying. So if you say you're taking this class with a bunch of friends and you all submit some work, you're only as strong as the weakest link. If your work appears copied and any one of you cannot explain exactly how everything you wrote down works perfectly, everybody in the copying circle will receive a 0. So the big key is just make sure that you do your own work. Don't completely rely on other sources to help answer your questions. The videos that we post in this class and the worksheets should be completely sufficient to help you understand the concepts. And if you're not understanding something else and you feel like you need to go see an outside source, a great source to start with is me, because I wrote everything and I know kind of how it works. So if you're ever finding something that seems fishy, right? Like you're trying to practice on a quiz or something like that, or you're trying to take a quiz and you watch a YouTube video and they have a strange approach that doesn't look like anything that we've talked about. Feel free to ask me about that. That's okay. I don't want you to feel like you have to hide that. But chances are is that I'll probably be advising you to move in a slightly different direction that represents more of what we've done in the class. So there can be a slight confusion at this point, which is, well, what's okay to do on quizzes versus exams? Quizzes are generally open world. You just have to be able to explain what you did. You got to be able to do problems like we've done in class. However, when it comes to exams, and I look at the exam guidelines, for exams, you are not allowed to use anything except for what's up here. You can use your calculator, formula sheets for the exams, and that's it. Well, scratch paper, I guess, but nothing else. No notes, no internet, no friends, no family, no nothing. And if I feel that you may have been doing something else, again, I'll ask to meet with you virtually. And if you don't meet with me, or if you do meet with me and can't explain your work fully, you will get a 0 for the entire exam. I have found many students that get 0s on exams during semesters because they don't do their own work, they don't learn the concepts for themselves, and they try to cheat. It's really obvious to me when you've done something that doesn't represent what we've talked about in class. It's so obvious. It's so incredibly obvious. So please just don't do it. It'll save time for both of us. The summary, as I state down here, is that if you work with other people or obtain your solutions from other places, you run the risk of losing lots of points. So especially when it comes to exams, make sure that you're working by yourself and you're showing me the ideas that you understand and what it is that you know. If you follow the general trend of the class, which is watch the videos, practice with the worksheets, there should be nothing on any exam or quiz that you shouldn't know how to do. All right, well, if you have questions about quizzes and exams throughout the semester, by all means, let me know.